Today we're going to work on describing transformations and specifically rotations. So, as always, our example reads, describe fully the single transformation that maps shape A to shape B. So that means we're going from this shape to this shape. Okay, so determine the type of transformation. Well, we know that we're in the rotation section, but why is this? Well, it's because it's the same size and shape, but its orientation has changed. And if it doesn't look like a reflection, it's most likely a rotation. So, determine the direction of rotation and how much it has been rotated. Well, to do this, I actually sometimes like just skipping into step 3 because it can be easier answered if we just rotate it so we can be sure. So right now, we're going to draw in our shape A. So be as accurate as possible because it'll help us line up for shape B and find our center of rotation. Okay, so we have our shape. Don't miss out on any parts like I did. I'm just going to label this A for the sake of it. Then we want to see how we can get to B. Well, if we rotate this way, it's kind of reverse of what it is. So let's try rotating clockwise. So we rotated clockwise once, and we found that it matches it. So we can say clockwise, and one turn, remember, is 90 degrees. Lastly, we have to guess and check the center of rotation by placing our tracing paper over our shape A, and then testing different points. The first point I would always check because they usually put on an origin question because it's a good starting point is the origin, and indeed we rotated it and it matched up with our shape B. So we can finish up this question and attain full marks by saying center of rotation 0, 0. Okay. So, let's do another example. The next example we're going to do is describe fully the single transformation that maps shape C to shape D. So here we're going there to there, right? So we know it's a rotation. And right away, let's jump into drawing our shape on the tracing paper. So I'm going to test, I'm reusing tracing paper, and my shape matches my triangle I drew for a previous question. So that's why always keep your shapes, because more than likely you'll be able to do it again and save time. So we want to determine how much has been rotated. Well, if we move around clockwise 90, we find that it matches. So let's write down clockwise and 90 degrees. So that's 2 out of our 3 marks that we could get on one of these questions. The last one comes from finding our center. So, like I said, it's always try your origin first, just to see if it's going to work, right? And rotate it. So it doesn't quite work. It's a little bit right. So what I'm gonna do is move a little bit left. Let's see where that ends up. Oh, it's getting closer. So let's move a little step down. Doesn't quite work. So, but we're getting real close, right? So, a couple places, and you should be able to find exactly what we're looking for. Okay. So, that ended up being our point at negative 1.5 and negative 0.5 in our y. So we could say our center of rotation is this point. Most of the time you won't have little half square grids, so it'll be they'll land on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 integer values rather than decimal place values. I chose this just to show this as kind of the hardest you could get. Okay, so now a few questions to practice. Whenever you're ready, press play on the video and we will quickly go through them. Okay, so welcome back. First step, we're going to find our triangle because we're going shape A to shape B. Okay, so first thing I'm going to check, well, I know it's a rotation, but now I'm checking, okay, it's rotated about the origin, 180 degrees. Rotation, center, origin, 180 degrees, right? Tells the person everything we need to know. We don't have to say clockwise or anti-clockwise because 180 either way will get you the same position. So next we know that this is a rotation, and I'm just going to write rotation for a third one as well, save time for later. So now how much is it rotated? Well, if we're here and we rotate it once, it's going to match, so we can say clockwise 90 degrees. And now we have to find our actual point, our center of rotation. So I'm going to pick somewhere in the middle of our two shapes, hoping that I can get it in a few tries, but just a bunch of guessing. So there we go, we found our center, this time at -1, -1. So we can say our center is -1, -1. Right. Lastly, we're going to do our last shape, so we have to draw a new triangle, because it is not quite a right angle triangle this time. Drawing it with your straight edge, as always, as neat as possible. Okay, so here I'm rotating left once, so that is anti-clockwise, and one turn is 90 degrees. Next, we have to find our center. So our center, we have to do our old guess and check. So let's pick a point in between. And I think that might have, I want to check that again because that might actually just be our point right there. That indeed is our point. Sometimes you luck out really good. So our point is at 0 and -1. Okay. So once again, your point should be rotation, anti-clockwise 90, 0, -1, 90, -1, -1, and 180 about the origin.